thanks for joining me today for this bar workout. Today we're going to be using a mat. We're going to be using this small squishy ball. We'll use a round loop resistance band. I'm using medium today. We're going to be using this for our core work down on the mat later. And 2 baby weights. We're going to be using between 1 to 3 pounds. We'll do it just fine. So if you have any questions about any of these props, I put links to them in the write-up below, so go ahead and check that out.
We're going to start with a little standing warm-up. Standing in external rotation with the toes out, heels in. We're going to lift the right foot slightly and point and flex through the toe. Holding that point, we're going to lift the leg and lower back down. Swift lift up and lower back down. Keep the body upright, shoulders stacked over top of hips. Now taking the foot out to the side. Lift slightly, we're going to flex and point. Toe down, pointing through the toe, we're going to lift the leg and lower back down. Swift lift and lower back towards the floor. Turning towards your bar, we're going to take that same right leg back, lift the leg, externally rotated, and we're going to flex and point through the foot. You'll notice here that we're not focusing on huge range. We're thinking about stabilizing through the body. Point the toe down. We're going to lift and lower. So again, this is not a full arabesque. We're lifting slightly and lowering back down. Now facing front again. With the right leg, we're now going to bring the leg parallel and we're going to lower and lift so that those toes are facing forward, the knee is facing forward. Now we're switching to work the other leg. So the leg is externally rotated, knee is facing out, heels are in. We're going to lift that foot, point and flex through the foot. Now lower down, we're going to lift and lower back down. Sweeping up and back down. We're facing the front right now, and then we'll follow through and do the side and the back. Taking to the side, float the foot up and flex and point through the foot. Now lift and lower the leg while keeping the body still and upright. Turning to face your bar and taking the leg back behind. Lift that leg slightly and flex and point through the foot. Now point through the toe, and we're going to lift the leg and lower. Now taking the leg in front, and we're keeping the leg parallel, the knee facing right in front of you. We're going to lift and lower the leg while pointing through the toe. Good. Now that we've warmed up through the feet and the legs and got a little bit of motion going, we're going to grab that mat and really get the entire body warm. We're going to work here in a quadruped position, hands and knees. We want the hands directly underneath the shoulders, the knees hip distance apart, directly under the hips. And we're going to tuck those toes underneath the feet. We're going to lift the knees up, float and hover, and then lower back down. We're using our core muscles to float those knees up and then lower back down towards the mat. Make sure that you're not just plopping the knees back down. We're lifting up slowly and we're lowering down slowly and with control. Now we're gonna work through opposite sides of the body. We're coming into bird dog. Opposite arm, opposite leg is gonna lift, and then we're gonna switch and alternate to the other side. Try to stay as stable through the trunk and through the body as possible. We're thinking about length rather than height through our limbs. Now switching things up. Left hand steps forward as the right knee comes up and tucks up to the elbow. And we're alternating from side to side. So the opposite arm is stepping forward, and then that knee on the other side is going to draw in towards the elbow. We should really feel this through the core. Tuck those toes right here, and we're going to float and lift the knees off the mat. Hover and slowly lower down. Float, lift, hover, and slow lower down. We're using the core here, so you should feel that core active, and we've got total body integration going, so many muscles working at the same time. Moving into bird dog, opposite arm, opposite leg. Reach out long, lengthen through the body. Now step one hand forward and the opposite leg, knee is going to tuck up towards the elbow. We want to use that core strength to draw everything back into the quadruped starting position. Now we're going to switch back to opposite arm, opposite leg, reaching in that bird dog pose. These movements really originate from the core, and they take a lot of coordination with the brain. Coming back to that elbow tuck while we lift the opposite hand forward. Good. Push back to a rest pose right here. We're going to fold the mats up and grab for our baby weights next. All right, we're going to come standing here with our feet into a Pilates V, heels together. Palms are facing towards your body, and we're going to lift shoulder height right here. Lift up, and now take out to the side to a T and down. We want to make sure that we're not flying the weights. We're going to speed that up, double time right here. We don't want to fly the weights above the shoulders. We want to keep about shoulder level and put the brakes on there. Front to the side, front to the side. If this tempo is too quick, feel free to take it half time. Now we're going to have the palms facing us. We're going into sparklers. Tiny circles to the inside as we reach the arms up. Now reverse direction of those circles to the outside as we lower the arms down. Again, switch direction, circle in and take it up. Reverse, take it out. Now we're going to take swan arms twice. Reach out, draw those elbows into the body, and one more time. From the top, we're going to lift up and to the side, to the front, to the side. Focus on keeping those shoulders down and not scrunched up towards the ears, and standing up nice and straight with a nice open chest. Moving into sparklers here. Tiny circles to the inside as we reach the arms up. Reverse and take it down. Again, take it up. Tiny, tiny little circles. And down. Swan arms twice, lifting out. Pull those elbows into the body. Out, pull them in. Now we're going to turn those palms facing up, tuck the elbows into the body. We're going to reach out in front as if we're extending a tray in front of us, and then draw the elbows tight in towards the body. Now, keeping the palms facing up, we're going to lift shoulder level, take to the front and to the side, using different muscles in the arms with the palms facing up. Coming into sparklers here, those tiny little circles moving up. Reverse direction, take it down. Again, circle up. Reverse and take it down. Swan arms, lift, draw those elbows into the body again. Good, and weights down. Moving to the bar now for plies in second position. Walking the feet out into second, we're gonna lift the heels from the floor, and we're gonna slide down and up, down and up, making sure to keep the hips underneath the shoulders here and not going into a squat. Now drop the heels and drop for 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly lift back up. Drop 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly lift back up. Lift the heels. Slide down and up. Down and up. One more. And drop the heels. Drop for 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow slide up. Those are 4 individual levels. 4, 3, 2, 1. Slide up. Going a little lower each time. Now we're going to pulse it down here in demi-plie. Quick pulses. Now lift the heels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Prance the heels. Left, right, left, right. Hold down in that plie and switch the heels. Now heels down, pulse it out. Lift back up. Lift the heels. We're going to slide down in plie and slide back up. Nice and smooth, sliding down and up. Drop the heels and drop for 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow lift back up. Reach the whole way up. Drop. 2, 3, 4, and lift. Lift those heels. Slide down and up. Down and up. Down and up. One more. Drop the heels. 4 levels. 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift up slow and tall. Drop. 2, 3, 4 with much control, squeezing all the way up to the top. Now pulse down. Quick pulses. Lift the heels. Pulse for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Prance. One heel at a time. Now drop the heels and pulse it out. Now we're just going to slide down that plie and slide back up. Sweep the body down, keep the hips tucked underneath the shoulders. Shoulders roll down and back, chest open. Now pulses. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Lift the heels and pulse for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Prance the heels. Left, right, left, right. Drop the heels, pulse. And lift up. Good. Now send those hips back and away. Reach away from the bar. And here we're going to just sway the tail from side to side. Stretch it out. We're moving next into a squat series. So this is when we will hinge at the waist and our bum will come out rather than keeping the hips underneath the shoulders here. So eventually we'll be holding onto the bar, but in the beginning we won't need to. We're gonna keep the feet parallel and about hip distance apart, and we're gonna start out squatting and lifting back out of that squat, and then we will make things more complicated and bar-like. We're gonna take it down and up. The weight is coming into the heels, and at the top we're pressing the pelvis all the way forward. Now we're gonna hold down in this squat, fingertips to the bar. We're gonna lift the heels and pulse it out here. Staying in that squat position with the heels up. Now we're gonna take it down and all the way up and squat back and all the way up. Regular squats with the heels lifted. Now hold down in that squat. We're gonna prance or pedal through the heels, lifting and lowering, alternating the heels. Now we're turning those feet out into a second position and squatting here. So regular squats with the feet turned out. Hold down here, lift the heels, fingertips to the bar for support. Heels are nice and high, and we're pulsing here. Now bring it into that squat. Take it down and all the way up. Down and up. Keep those heels nice and high. One more. Now hold down and pedal the heels right here in this second position, squatting back. Keep breathing here. I know it's getting harder. Good. Now we're gonna just take a little break, reach the arms up to the sky and bring them back down. Come down into that squat and pulse right here. Hands to the bar, lift those heels and squat pulse. Now we're gonna take that down and up into that squat with the heels high. Good, right here, turn those feet back to parallel. Lift the heels and pulse it out in that squat, heels high. Now take it into that full squat, lifting the whole way up with the heels lifted. Whew, and bring that down. Little breather here. Feet in first position, we're moving into our plies in first. Light touch to the bar. We're gonna go through our plie series right here. Plies, lift heels, press tall, drop heels. And then 2 demi-plies. Plie, heels up, press tall, drop heels, 2 plies, 2. Plie, lift heels, press, drop plie, 2, and 1. Again. Plie, lift heels, press tall, drop heels, 2, and 1. Now plie, step the right foot out to second, back into first, step the left foot out to second. Plie in first, step to second, in, step to second. We're alternating sides each time, to the right and in, to the left and in. Keep it going. Something different right here. Plie, lift up tall to releve, down and up all the way, down and lift all the way. From the top, plie, lift heels, press tall, drop heels, 2 and 1. Again, plie, lift heels, press and drop. Now 2 plies. Again, continue that series, nice and strong through the legs. 1 more. 2 plies, 2 and 1. Bring it down in demi-plie. We're gonna lift the heels and lower heels. Lift the heels and lower heels. Keep the rest of the body really stable and steady. Make sure that the head isn't lifting significantly. All the movement is happening from the waist down in the legs. So the knees open out, the heels lift and lower. We're keeping those legs bent into that plie. Right here, we're gonna plie and lift all the way. Plie, push all the way through releve. From the top, plie, lift heels, press tall, drop heels, 2 plies. Again. Try to make that movement really smooth and strong through the legs. 2 and 1. 2, and 1. We're going to step out second, plie, step out second, and in, step out to the left, and in, step out right, and in, step out left, and in. Again from the top, plie, lift heels, press, and drop. 2 plies, and 1. Plie, lift heels, press, and lower heels, 2, and 1. And 2 more plies. Good. Now send those hips back and away. Stretch and lengthen the arms away from the bar. Next up is a chair pose series where we go chair pose to lunge. So we lift the heels and we're gonna pulse in chair and then step out into lunge. 1 and 2, and then the other foot steps out to lunge. And lunge for 2. This is a nice narrow lunge. We're making sure that both the heels are staying nice and high. So we're not stepping out very far, and we're keeping the weight over the center, keeping the pelvis tucked forward. 1 and 2, step back, right, 1, 2, in for 2, lunge out for 2. Now right here, we're gonna keep that left foot back, and we're gonna push the legs straight, push the hips away from the bar, and then bend back in. Press out straight, send the hips away, and come right back in. Good, now hold center. We're taking single lunges, down and up, down and up, down and up, down and up. 3 pulses, 3, 2, 1, and back up tall again. 3, 2, 1. Back to singles. Take it down and up, down and up. Keep both those heels high, which is really the challenge here. 3 pulses, 3, 2, 1, and up. 3, 2, 1. Back to chair pose here. Down 1 and left foot back. We're moving into singles here. 1 and step back. 1 and step back. 1 and step back. 1 and step back. You got it. Now we had the left foot back last time, so we want to make sure that we come into that lunge series next, that our right foot is back. Staying even, or you will not like it. Now right foot comes back. We're going from lunge to pushing those legs straight and sending the hips away from the bar. Now we're not twisting through the hips. They're still square and facing forward. We're just pushing them away as we straighten the legs. Going down for single lunges. 1 and lift. 2 and lift. 3 and lift. 4, 3 pulses right here. 3, 2, 1, and lift again. 3, 2, 1, and lift. Back to singles. So we're just thinking about taking that back knee down towards the ground. 3 pulses. 3, 2, 1, and up again. 3, 2, 1. Now step both feet into chair. We're going to drop in. 3, 2, 1. Send it up nice and tall. 3 levels. 2, 1. And lift it nice and tall. 3, 2, 1. Lift it nice and tall. 3, 2, 1. Lift it up. Now the left foot is coming back, and we're going to those single lunges right here. 3 pulses. Take it. 3, 2, 1. And lift again. 3, 2, 1. Switch legs this time. Right foot back, single lunges, down and up. We're spending less time in this lunge part. 3 pulses. Give me 3, 2, 1. Lift it up again. 3, 2, 1. Both legs together into chair. Drop. 3, 2, 1. Bring it nice and straight. Drop. 2, 1. Nice, straight and tall again. 3, 2, 1. Lift it up. And 3, 2, 1. Lift it up. Release. Lower those heels and send the hips back and away from the bar. Nice. You should feel that in all the places, just all of them. Now we're coming down to the mat portion of our class. Lay out your mat, and you're going to need your round loop band and your ball. Coming down onto the mat here, we're going to use the ball. It's going to come behind our shoulder blades. Okay, so it's up nice and high, and we're placing the band around our around our legs. It's coming down towards the bottom of our legs, just above our ankles. Now, we don't want the ball to be at the low back. We want it to be underneath our shoulder blades. Head, neck, and shoulders peeled up and facing forward. Hands down to the mat for support. We're gonna lift the legs up into the sky, and we're gonna open and close the legs. So not straight up over the hips 90 degrees, we're reaching out towards 45 degrees, opening and closing the legs. Now legs come down, arms come up over the head, and we're gonna do a little chest lift here. We're peeling up the chest and crunching forward. You can also have the hands behind the head for support if it's too much to have them up high. Hands down to the mat, lengthen the legs up here. We're gonna circle and switch. One foot is gonna cross over top of the other, and imagine a big circular motion right here. We're pressing out and into that band every time we do it. Now bend the knees, feet to floor. We're gonna crunch forward, thinking about taking those long fingertips towards the ankles. We're reaching forward here towards the ankles. Now adjust those straps, take the band back down if it has inched up. We're gonna open and close through the band. Again, elbows and arms are down to the mat for support. We're really feeling in the core, we're also feeling in the hips here. Legs come down straight, arms up overhead. We're in a high fifth position with the hands, round elbows. We're crunching forward or a chest lift off of that ball. Hands back down to the mat and lengthen the legs away. Now circle and switch, one crossing over top of the other leg. And really think about circular motion through the legs as we press out into that band. Feet down, we're gonna crunch forward, fingertips coming towards the ankles. All the while, make sure that your chin is tucked and your gaze is forward and you're not straining your neck and looking up at the ceiling. Now, we're gonna take those feet from the floor and we're gonna reach them up straight and push out on the band. So really press out and away from the band and then bend back in. You are gonna feel this movement right away and you're gonna feel it later too. Lengthen out, press out and away. So we're lifting the legs up and we're pushing them out. And we really feel that core at play. Now, just a little break right here. Catch your breath. Woo, feel all those areas that have been worked and get ready to work some more. We're gonna lengthen those legs out and away and we're gonna circle the legs one on top of the other, pushing out onto that band. Yeah, switch, one over top of the other. Think about helicopter blades. Feet down right here. We're gonna crunch forward. Fingertips reaching towards those ankles. Good, go ahead and remove that band. We're taking the ball out from behind the shoulder blades and we're gonna place it in between the knees. Lying onto the back, we're placing the feet onto the mat and we're gonna take quick pulses, squeezes through the ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Keep it going right here. We're gonna do ball squeezing throughout this whole next series. We're gonna work the arms, we're gonna work the legs, we're gonna feel the core. Just squeeze and pulse through that ball. Good, now grab the ball in between the hands. Bent elbows with the ball right above the sternum. We're squeezing in, getting those adductor muscles working. Squeeze, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Float the legs up into tabletop. Ball comes in between the knees. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, we're squeezing in here. Slower squeeze rather than a quick pulse. Now the ball comes in the hands and we're gonna round through the elbows, reach overhead, arms framing the face, squeezing here. So we're getting our pec muscles really working here. We feel our shoulders roll down and back, shoulder blades pressing into the mat. Stay in a neutral position in the spine. Now the ball's gonna come in between the ankles and we're gonna reach the legs out towards 45 degrees as we squeeze that ball. You might find your ball swiveling a little bit and your core working here. We want to press evenly through the legs, which can be really challenging. Now ball back in between the knees, quick pulses right here with the feet down on the floor. Make sure throughout that we keep a neutral position of the spine and we're not flaring through the rib cage and lifting the back off of the ground while we're going through these different exercises. Now grab that ball in between the hands, elbows are out wide and bent, and we're squeezing that ball right over top of our sternum. Squeeze, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lift the legs into tabletop. We're gonna squeeze right here. Again, this is that slower squeeze rather than the quick pulse. Grab that ball, take the arms up to frame the face, squeeze in, working through the pecs in particular. And we just keep those legs hanging out in tabletop while we're working through the upper body. Ball is coming in between the ankles right here. Reach those legs out straight. If that's too much to have your legs out and away and your rib cage starts to flare, bring your legs back into tabletop and squeeze from there. Try to squeeze evenly through each leg, which can be very challenging. Now bend the legs into tabletop and keep squeezing through the ankles. Great. Reach those legs back out straight and squeeze through the ball at the ankles. Again, that back shouldn't be peeling away from the mat and you shouldn't be flaring or lifting up at the heart. Now take that ball in between the knees and we're going to come into a quick pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Quick pulse with the legs up in tabletop position, ball in between the knees. Good. Pull that ball out and we're going to place the ball onto the mat. We'll place our right foot over top of the ball and left foot we're going to put down on the mat. We're going to go into some single leg bridging here. Now we don't have stability underneath that right foot, but we're going to press out of the left and peel the pelvis up off the mat. We're thinking about peeling up off the mat and melting back down, not just actively thrusting the hips forward. We should be feeling this a lot through the underside of the leg, through the hamstrings. Now float that left leg up into the air. We're going into single leg circles. And we're going to take these relatively slow. Down, around, and up. Down, around, and up. Really lengthen the leg from the hip to the ankle of the right leg. We're going to take that left leg around in the opposite direction. So we're going outside, down, around, and up. Good. Now that left foot's going to come down and we're going to switch the ball underneath the left ankle. Right foot is going to come sitting on the ground. And then we'll start that single leg bridge. Continue here. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Now the right leg is going to come straight up in the sky. We're going to circle to the inside, down, around, and up. We want our leg to be straight here. If you're finding that you can't straighten out through the leg because there's tight hamstrings, then pull the leg a little bit forward with a bent knee. And now circle in the opposite direction. We want to keep the ankle over top of the hip. So if the knee is bent in, make sure the ankle still stays over top of the hip. Now lower that leg down. Both of the feet are going to be on the ball. Now we're going to lift the hips and lower down. Press the feet into the ball and lift the hips. We're engaging a lot of muscles here to do this. Now, if you want to make this more challenging, we're going to lift the hips, roll the ball in, lengthen, and down. Hips stay up, pull the ball in, out, and down. It doesn't come very far in, just a little bit, but we keep the hips up in the air the whole time. Good. Now lower the hips down, and we're just finishing up here. We're just gonna roll those toes in and lengthen out. Well done. All right, I can see my sweat is running down here. It's getting very warm. We've got a little bit more work to do on the mat, and then we are moving into a nice deep stretch. Coming down on the stomach in a prone position, grab that ball. Now we're gonna place the wrist at the edge of the ball so the hands are free beyond, and we're gonna lift up into swan, rolling back on that ball. So keep the shoulders rolled down and back. Keep the neck in line with the spine. We're gonna roll from the wrist onto the palms of the hands and rolling back down. We wanna keep the arms as straight as possible. Obviously, if you are not as flexible through the low back, you're not going to lift up quite as high. The ball's not going to come in. You're not going to lift through the chest quite as high. We're going to go for wherever is comfortable for us in our body, listening to our body and going to our max range, and then rolling back out. We should get a nice lengthening work through the back and also a stretch through the abdominals here. Good. We're really keeping the arm muscles very active here, and we're going to go into push-ups next. Move the ball up to the front. Now, we're going to place the hands underneath. The thumbs should be at the armpits. They're coming down nice and low, and we're going to tuck the toes underneath. Keep the shoulders rolled down and back. We're going to press up in a straight plank line and lower back down. Little rest at the bottom, then press back up. We're coming to a full laying down position in prone and then pressing back up. Good. Pressing up. Now, if you can only do so many with the legs straight, you can also bend the knees down, keep the toes tucked, and just have the knees down on the mat so you're taking a lower lever plank. We're shooting for 10 right here. We want to be in a nice straight line. The elbows are close to the body and grazing the rib cage. Now, these push-ups are far harder than taking the elbows out wide, right? So pace yourself here. Exhale as you press up. Good. Drop down to the knees and push back to a rest pose. Keep working there in that good plank position. You may find that maybe you can do 3 and then you need to rest and come back to do more. We're going to take the left elbow, or the left shoulder rather, down to the mat, and the left palm is turned up towards the sky. Walk the right hand a little bit past the head and stretch here. Twisting through the spine and breathing in deeply. Unwind. Now we're going to take the right hand, drop that elbow down to the mat. Arm or head is going to look underneath that left arm, and the left hand is going to walk its fingers back behind the head. Right palm is turned up to the sky, stretching and twisting through the spine. Good. Unwinding, we're going to press back into a rest pose here and lift up nice and tall. And now it's time to come into our stretch. So we're going to take the left foot forward into a lunge. We want the hips square and facing forward, not twisting off to the side. And we want to sink in and make sure that the knee stays over top of the ankle, and we're really stretching back through the hip flexors. Hands are going to come down to the inside of the left foot, and we want to keep the chest in a nice line, nice and open, neck in line with the spine. Breathe in here. Now we're going to take that left foot and we're going to roll off onto the outer edge of the left foot. Make sure that it's really going to open up through the hip flexors even deeper. Make sure it's comfortable for the knee joint as well as the hip joint. If it's not and you feel some kind of stabbing pain through the joints, just roll back and keep the foot flat. Good. Roll that foot back flat. Left hand's coming to the outside of that left leg. Now send the hips back and away, straighten through the front leg, and lower the chest down towards the leg to wherever's comfortable. We're stretching through the hamstrings and stretching out the underside of the leg here. Keep the toes lifted up, pointing towards the ceiling and not drifting off to the side. Step that knee back. We're going to lift up hips over top of the knees, open the arms out to the side as we lean back and really stretch through the thighs. Hands come back to center, right foot comes forward. Come into that lunge, Hands come down to the inside of the right foot. And breathe in deeply. Now that right foot, we're going to roll out onto the outside edge right here. Make sure it's comfortable for the joints on both sides. Hold in and breathe. Good, now roll that foot back in. Right foot comes to the outside, or right hand comes to the outside of the right foot. Send the hips back and away, straighten through the legs, and lower the body down towards the leg. Toes stay pointed up towards the ceiling and not drifting off to the right hand side. Good. Come to kneeling, pulling that right foot back and going into thigh stretch here. Arms up to the sky. We're going to lean back and away, keeping that body in a straight plank line as we open the arms and lean back, stretching through those thighs and coming back forward. Again, pay attention to the knees here and make sure that's comfortable for the knee joint as you're leaning back and away, and listen closely to the body. Good. Right here, we're going to come into a cross-legged position and we're going to lean the body forward. Just lengthen out. Think about bringing the upper body down towards the mat, feeling everything stretch and open up. And breathing deeply. Make sure you're not holding the breath. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. Now take the foot that's on top. We're going to switch and bring the opposite foot on top and lean out for it again. So the majority of us, when we come and sit down in a cross-legged position, we're going to have one leg that we favor sitting on the top always. So we're just going to make things even, and it might feel really awkward to place the other foot on top and be stretching forward, but you're going to feel the difference in the stretch when you switch those legs right away. Good, and lifting up out of it. Now we're going to bring the palms of the feet together. We're going to allow the knees to drop off to the side with gravity pushing on them and just opening up through the hips here. Lean forward and place your forearms on the mat, elbows pressing into the mat. If that's comfortable, you may find that you need to sit up a little bit higher. We're just going to take a little lean forward from this position. Good, lifting up. We're going to take the legs out wide and just lean the body forward. Just come to a place that's comfortable. So you could be resting on the forearms. You could be seated up much more. Now we're going to scoot in a little bit deeper into that straddle position and come down to the forearms if it's comfortable. If not, just be seated upright, perhaps with the palms on the mat. And just remembering the importance of breathing deeply and not holding your breath when you're stretching, particularly if the stretches feel a little bit uncomfortable. Now bring the legs in. We're going to do a little bit of stretches for front splits, some of my favorites right here. So we're going to come back into a lunge position. We'll just bring those hands down to the ground. We're going to lunge forward and then send the hips back and straighten the leg. So we're stretching through hip flexors as we come forward, and we're stretching hamstrings as we press back, which when we come into our front splits, those are the things that we need to stretch through the most for that particular split exercise. So we're just going to go back and forth here, reaching forward, actively stretching forward and pressing back, trying to straighten out as much as possible in both of those positions and really press in deeply and quickly switch to the other. Good, now we're going to slide down into the split, or as close as you can come to that, and just hold here. So wherever you are split-wise, that's going to be a great place for you to stretch. It doesn't matter if you're full on to the floor. It doesn't matter if you can lift your hands up in the split position. None of that really matters. We're just going to make sure that the hips are square and facing forward, and we're in a good stance. We're going to come down as low as we can. Go ahead and lift up. We're going to come to the other side. Good, and we're just switching back and forth between those two stretches, lunging and coming back to that hamstring stretch, and just rocking back and forth here. I'm a firm believer that there's no such thing as an inflexible person. I think that everybody's at a different range of flexibility based on how you move your body on a regular basis, and anybody at any flexibility point can increase their flexibility. Go ahead and slide out into that split position. And remember that if you are on a journey to become more flexible, that you compare yourself not to where anyone else is, but to where you were yesterday or the week before, and where you would like to go and where you are moving. Come up and out of that. Always being focused on keeping our eyes on our own mat and doing the best with where we are. Well done today. Thank you so much for joining me here at the Bennie Bar Pilates studio, and you can join me for online classes on Patreon. All that information is in the write-up below, and you can find weekly bar classes there with my full choreography that make you feel like you're in the studio with me.